have not followed a sewing pattern in perhaps over 8 years. I'm pretty late to the party on this one, but a few months ago I saw the Hallen dress by Paradise Patterns on my Instagram Explore page, and I fell in love with the idea of making this. One thing you need to know about me is once summer hits, I am a flowy, long sundress kind of gal, and the Hallen dress looks like it's about to be... Hobbs is going to be co-hosting this part of the video. One thing you need to know about me is that once summer hits, I am a flowy long sundress kind of gal. Once I saw this pattern, I knew I had to make it. So we're going to give it a go. I am also using this pattern as kind of a refresher of some of my sewing skills. This project is an upcycling project for me. I am taking an old bedsheet set that I have had since college. It's from Target. It's their Threshold brand, and these sheets are 100% cotton. I do love the print so much that I wanted to be able to repurpose them into something else, and I think this is going to be perfect. I love a nice little floral girly dress, and so I think that this is going to be really pretty. It's now 4:30 p.m. I actually have been working on this dress already since early morning, since about 9:30ish, and it took a hot second because I had to print out the pattern and then tape it together, cut out the pattern pieces, all that good stuff. After I cut out the pattern pieces, I went to find my fabric from this bedsheet set, and I could have sworn that I still had the top sheet from this set, but I don't. I, for whatever reason, only had this pillowcase and the fitted sheet, so I had to undo the fitted sheet, but that's why I'm getting started a little bit late. That's fine though, because I can only do so much of this project tonight. After I cut out the fabric pieces for this dress, I'm going to be dyeing those fabric pieces using avocado pits. Isn't that so sickening? I can't wait to do it. I have been hoarding avocado pits for the past like 2 months. My boyfriend is tired of looking at them sitting in our kitchen. So I'm gonna cut these pieces out, and then I'm gonna check in with you guys once it's time to dye the fabric with the avocado pits. I'm very excited, so let's start working on it. So initially, as I mentioned earlier, I was going to, at this point, dye my fabric, but I was reading ahead at the pattern because I just wanted to double check before I put away my extra fabric that I have left over that I had cut everything out that I needed to cut. And I did, which is exciting, but there's a few bias tape pieces in this pattern that say that they're supposed to be a certain width. And I cut my pieces out accurately to my size, but they are just simply already skinnier than the width that they're supposed to be. I think it might be tricky to sew because I think that I'm not going to have a lot of seam allowance with those pieces. I'm not really sure. But I did go ahead and look up how I'm supposed to go about dyeing cotton with avocado pits, and I'm supposed to simmer the fabric in the water for quite a long time. It's actually like a multiple day process, which joke's on me for not looking that up sooner. I think because I'm already a little nervous that some of these pieces aren't big enough, and because this is cotton and because cotton shrinks in heat, I think I'll be better off actually building the dress and then dyeing it, which means I'm gonna have to buy a bigger pot, but I need to do that anyway because I have already ruined too many dye projects from having too small of pots in my kitchen, so that's fine. I was really excited to dye tonight, but all that means is we can actually get a head start on the sewing process tonight. So I think that's what we're gonna do. I'm kind of nervous. I think I need to look up a few techniques. This dress uses a seam method called French seaming, which I may have done before, but I don't know it by that name at least. So I'm gonna look up how to do that, and then I'm gonna get started. So the first thing I have to do before I can get started sewing is I have to stay stitch all of my curved edges. I don't really necessarily need to do that with this fabric, but as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm using this pattern as a way to make sure I refresh my skills and make higher quality sewn pieces. So we're not going to skip any steps in this, and we're going to make sure that we do everything by the book, which is not normally how I do any of my crafting. So let's do some stay stitching. Okay, that's done. So now we can go to step 1 of our pattern, and already I am confused. The bust start is cut out of this pattern piece, and that's what it looked like on all of the reference photos that the designer included. And I feel like normally those are left on the pattern piece, but the first step of the pattern just says to sew bust starts, and it doesn't really indicate where. And so obviously I'm assuming that it's these front pieces, like this little cutout. Maybe it's like super like obvious, and this is just like, you know, me being not good at pattern reading. I think I just have to go for it. I mean, the thing is, I don't know what else on earth this could possibly be. It is just hilarious that we are on literal step 1 of the pattern and I'm already confused, but I think I just have to go for it. So let's just try. I'm gonna start with this step, and if I'm crying in the next few clips, I did something horribly wrong. If I'm not and I'm happy, I'm just gonna keep trucking along because I've got some nice momentum going. I'm gonna thread up my sewing machine with the color, with the white that I'm gonna use for this. And then I'd like to kind of just get some good progress done on this tonight. I'm like really loving being back at my sewing machine again. Every time I sit behind it, I'm just like, man, I love doing this. So I'm just gonna kind of like put my audiobook on, go with the flow, and I'll check back in with you guys when I have something worth showing you. Okay, so it's the next day. I have finished 8 steps of the 24 steps in this pattern, and I just finished gathering the back of the dress. So I've done all of the zhuzhing that I need to do back there, and then I'm going to add bias tape to the neckline in the back and the front and the armholes. So pretty smooth sailing on the sewing itself. One thing I will say is you are supposed to do French seams throughout this pattern, and at one step along the way, I turned my work the wrong way. So to do French seams, you're supposed to start by putting the wrong sides of the fabric together, which is like super counterintuitive to every other seaming method I've ever done. So I did that for the seam down the back of the dress because you join the 2 back pieces together down the center back seam. But then to join that back panel to the front panel, you're supposed to also do French seams, and I accidentally started by putting the right sides of the fabric together, and I didn't have enough seam allowance to rip that out and then try and start again with the French seam. So unfortunately my side seams are just like normal seams. I actually don't know what the word is for this, but I just did a zigzag stitch over the raw edges of those. So that's a bit of a bummer because the French seam is just so clean and like professional looking. This is the inside of the dress where I did the French seam, and it's totally worth doing. Like, it looks super neat from the outside, and then on the inside your raw edges are completely encased in the seam itself. So kind of bummed about that, but it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't change anything about the way the dress looks or lays or anything like that, and the pattern does say like you don't have to do French seams, so oh well, I'll just get it right the next time I make it, I guess. Other than that, not too much to report about this pattern so far. I think it's gonna be really cute. I'm really liking the way that it's working up. It's 10:45 in the morning right now, and I don't have much else going on, so I'm hopeful that I can just click through the rest of this. And yeah, I think that's all I have to update you on. I have spent the whole time that I've been working on this dress listening to the audiobook version of The Women by Kristen Hanna, and I cannot recommend it enough. I absolutely love her books, and this one, if you've read her books, you know that they're all like historical fiction. This one takes place during the Vietnam War, and the nurses, the army nurses in the Vietnam War. It's very interesting. It's so well written. I am so invested, and it's been the perfect thing to just turn on and work away at this dress while listening to. So that's just a little recommendation. But anyway, let's get back into sewing the dress. Oh my god, I'm so sweaty, but this is done. Let's try it on. I still need to dye it and everything, but the sewing is done. Please ignore my horrible tan lines in the back. I wore a one-shoulder bikini on the day I got the most sun this summer, but oh my god, it's giving ghost girl, it's giving ghoul. There's definitely some things that are funky with this, namely right now, the bust starts are like giving Kim Possible boobs. I tried to fix them like literally like 6 different times. I don't know, I just messed up, and after a while I was like, if I keep messing with this, I'm gonna mess up the fabric. So I'm leaving them. The little like border straps are a little wonky. This one joins a little bit higher than the other. I found an article on how to dye the dress, and I'm able to actually use all things that I have here at the house, but it's gonna be a 2-day process. So let's start it tonight so that we can finish this tomorrow. Let's go to the kitchen. Hello, and welcome to Professor Addie's kitchen. Today, I'm gonna be teaching you guys how to dye fabric with avocado pits. Just kidding, because I don't know, so we're gonna be learning together. So here's the deal. Because I guess I can't do anything by the book, and I have to overcomplicate everything by doing it incorrectly. I found really good instructions on how to do this that seem pretty straightforward. The problem is I don't have a big enough pot, which I said in the beginning of the video. I knew that would be the case, but then I convinced myself over the course of this day that it would be fine. It's not. I'm technically supposed to start by washing the dress over the stove for an hour in hot water with dish detergent. That's what this article said, but that's not gonna happen. Neither of these pots fit this dress. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start the dye in one of these pots tonight. I don't really mind if this dye is not like super pigmented. I just want to get some color so that I'm not giving ghost in this dress. And I'm going to wash the dress just in my washing machine on a hot cycle. I can't imagine that that's much different than what would have originally happened from following the article to the T. To a T, not to the T. What does that even mean, to a T? Anyway, so that's what we're gonna do. And the reason I'm doing it that way, by the way, is because it's now 8 p.m. and I'm not gonna be able to get a pot tonight. So I'm gonna get one tomorrow when I leave my house for work, see if I can find a pot that's big enough. These both fit the dress, like I tested them. The dress is currently here. They fit the dress, but the dress is not going to have any room to move. And earlier this year, I dyed a dress for a wedding. The dress was originally white, and obviously I wasn't going to wear a white dress to the wedding, so I dyed it pink, and I used a pot that didn't have enough space for the dress. And it turned out cute, but there's a huge splotch of dye in the front of that dress, like the front center, because the dye doesn't distribute evenly when you don't use a big enough pot. So I learned my lesson from that one, and I know that I don't want to make that mistake with this dress because I love how it turned out, and I want to make sure it's actually cute. Talk. That's what I'm doing. There's not gonna be much to see here tonight. I'll show you guys the process of me making the dye, I guess, but I'm just gonna throw this dress in the washer, let these avocado pits sit overnight, and we'll go from there. Okay, so it's the next day. I went out this morning and I got a big old pot. I think this is like a 20-quart pot. So I'm hoping that this is enough. I really don't know. Looks big enough to me. Man, oh man, like I don't have enough dye. I'll show you guys in a second, but so I'm gonna have to dilute it with a ton of water. So we're probably honestly not gonna get that much color onto this dress. We'll see. I'm not sure. I don't mind the white. Like I was saying yesterday, I don't mind the white. I just don't want it to be like a pure white because it does give ghost. So if we can even just get it like a little bit off-white or like bone colored or something, then that'd be great. But we'll see. I have to let this boil, and then I'm gonna add the dress in and then just see how much water I need to add. But I'm gonna try and not add water if I don't need to. I did add in a little bit of salt. I'm not really sure if I needed to do that, but a few recipes said I needed something in the like salt family to help the dye like really stick to the fabric. I don't have that much dye. It also didn't get very pigmented. So I just figured I'd throw some salt in there. I don't know. I was about to say it isn't an exact science, but there is an exact science to dyeing, like 100%. So we're gonna let that come to a boil, and then we're gonna cook our dress, which is now dry from yesterday, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, y'all, it's about a week later and the dress is done. I wanted to go ahead and wrap this video up, give you guys my thoughts on the dress because I've worn it quite a few times since I finished making it, and let you know my thoughts on the pattern, the process, all that good stuff. So let's get into it. So right off the top, I have to say I love this dress. I am in love with it. I have worn it so much since I finished making it. It is so freaking hot in New York City, and all I have wanted to wear is long flowy dresses, and this has been the perfect addition to that wardrobe. The shape of this dress is super flowy and it's super big. Like not that it like is too big for me, like the design itself allows for so much ease. The amount of air that's able to move through it is fantastic on breezy days. I like that I don't feel like I have like a bunch of clothes touching me when I'm already sweaty and feeling gross in the heat. So it's been amazing for that reason. I just love the dreamy vibe that the fit of this dress has. Specifically, the back is definitely my favorite part of this dress. And I love it for a few reasons. One, because of the breeze, like I was kind of talking about before, it allows the air to just kind of get in the dress and cool me down. But also the print of this fabric is very feminine, very girly, very cutesy. And I love that then the back of this dress is super low cut out and sexy. It allows for a nice juxtaposition. Not wearing a bra with this dress has been no problem. If y'all know anything about me and the kind of clothes I like to make on this channel, that's a huge win in my book. Yeah, I've worn this dress so many times. I have like worn it multiple days in a row already, and I know that I will continue to reach for this a lot. It's just the only thing I want to wear in this heat. In terms of the quality of my craftsmanship, I mean, this was a project where I was refreshing my sewing skills, so yeah, there's like some issues in it. This definitely does not look like it was bought in a store. My stitching on the bias tape in some spots is like in the middle of the bias tape, and in some spots is like right at the edge of it. I mean, my lines are just not straight. I think that the hem is like different lengths in multiple places. All of that stuff is just good to know for the next project. It doesn't make me like this dress any less. It's just like good things that I refresh my memory on skill-wise in this project, and then I can take that into the next thing and do it better. I will also say that the biggest challenge of this pattern was the bust dart section. I just did them completely incorrectly. I just, for whatever reason, could not figure out the bust dart thing. And then by the time I did, it was too late and I couldn't go back and undo stuff because then it would have left holes in my fabric, but they're not wonky enough to make me not want to wear the dress, so whatever. Like I kind of alluded to before, in terms of the pattern, I thought it could have explained things a bit more, but that could just be from my lack of knowledge. The pattern's not advertised as a beginner pattern by any means, so I believe that that would mean that there's some assumption that you know a lot of these skills. And by the way, it's not like the designer leaves you high and dry. It's just that at times I felt like I was told to do things, and then the picture that I was provided in the pattern didn't really help me understand what the instructions were saying any better, and I didn't know how to fill in and like read between the lines beyond that, but I was able to figure everything out. So again, take that with a lot of grains of salt, because I think if you like are familiar with sewing patterns, you'd be fine on this. Someone like me who's just kind of like taught themselves, self-drafted a lot of patterns in the past, I was a little bit like, huh, what do you want me to do? Overall, great pattern. I think a lot of the issues that I had with it were just like my own lack of general sewing knowledge. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to leave some videos in the description box down below. There were a lot of videos that helped me a lot when I was trying to figure out how to do this pattern. I think that you would also find them helpful. I didn't check in with you guys really after I did the avocado pit dyeing, but oh my gosh, that was so fun. I know that it's not a pink dress, but it is not as bright white as it was before. I simply didn't have enough dye for this dress. You live and you learn. I just didn't realize how many avocado pits you need to make avocado dye, but I do like the color that I ended up with. It's just like this ever so slight dusty kind of rose. But yeah, loved it. Had kind of a weird smell in the kitchen for a day after that, but otherwise I thought it was so fun. All in all, I'm just so in love with this dress, as I think is clear. I am so happy that I made it. I'm so excited about what making it taught me as well. It taught me things that I need to improve at a very fundamental level before I continue working on my sewing. And I just enjoyed the whole process so much, and it reminded me how much I love the process of sewing. So I'm very grateful to this dress too, because not only do I love it for the dress that it is, but also just a reminder that it is that I also love the craft of sewing, and I think I'm going to be doing a lot more of it now. So very excited about that. I hope you all enjoyed watching me sew this dress. I know it's a little bit different than my knitting and crochet content, but I had so much fun making this video, and I hope you all enjoyed watching it. So please be sure to let me know what you thought of this video down below in the comments. And while you're down there, be sure to subscribe to this channel if you aren't already. We have a large growing family, and I would love to just continue adding to it. If you want to keep up with my whips on a more regular basis, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm @_the_dropped_stitch. And if you want to find me on Ravelry, I'm the Drop Stitch, all one word with 2 H's at the end. And that's going to be all from me. Thank you all so much for watching, and until I catch you in the next one, please be sure to be nice to yourself, drink some water, stretch your wrists, and please purl responsibly. I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye!